This is the 2024 GMC Yukon. It's the Denali trim level, and in today's Vehicle Visionary video, I'm going to give you the ultimate tour of this full-size SUV. And if you happen to be interested in buying this exact model, check out the link down in the description of the video. It's not pre-sold. It's available at Morgan Buick GMC here in Shreveport, Louisiana, Northwest Louisiana. So let's dig in and see exactly what we have here. The exterior color on this model is sterling metallic. You will find a dark walnut and very dark ash gray interior. We'll take a much closer look at that in just a little while, but we'll concentrate on the exterior for the moment. This model's two-wheel drive, which means it's going to be rear-wheel drive, but four-wheel drive is available. Let's talk about tire and wheel size. Since we're in that general area, 275 will be the width, nice amount of meat on the ground, a 50 series sidewall, and in this case, you do have the 22-inch wheels. On the front end, you're gonna find a very aggressive look. Looks nice, it still has a bit of an elegant appearance while it looks aggressive at the same time. And LED lighting literally everywhere you look. LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, you have the LED fog lights, and you have the IntelliBeam auto high beams. We'll move our way here onto the side. Quite a bit to talk about with these side view mirrors. You're going to have the body colored mirror caps, a little bit of gloss black here on the bottom. You do have the mirrors built into the side, or cameras built into the side view mirrors, not the mirrors built into the side view cameras. Well, maybe you could say that, but not really. Something to laugh at. I always give that to you. Turn signal indicators built in, as well as blind spot monitoring. These are heated and power adjustable side view mirrors. And one more thing before we get to that, I will tell you this. Here's your remote. You have a remote start. You can open and close your hands-free power lift gate back there. But one more thing I wanted to cover on these side view mirrors. It's going to have to do with the button right here. They are power folding as well. So if you were wondering about that, well, now you know. And let's talk a little bit about the power assist steps here, because there's a few different things you can do with these. Number one, obviously they're going to deploy when you open and then go back under the vehicle when you close the doors, when you open the doors and then close the doors. But if you're washing your Yukon and you want to leave those deployed, you actually can do that. All you have to do is go into the infotainment screen. There is a setting to help you out with that. The Denali logo here on the side doors here on the front. What other doors do you have besides the side doors, right? But on the side of the front door for the driver and the passenger. And a combination here with body color and chrome on the door handles. If you're wondering what the button is right there, that's passive entry. It's going to be on the front and the rear. So for you parents out there, whether you have little kids or maybe even big kids, you may be coming to the back doors first. And the good news is when you have the remote on your person, you can push that button right there to lock or unlock all four doors. And nice large windows makes it very easy to see out of this model. It has adaptive air ride suspension, so it's going to ride extremely well. We finish things off here on the rear with the quad tip exhaust down here, but you also have a very clean look with your rear window, because concealed within the rear roof spoiler that I forgot to take the plastic off of is your rear window wiper. Instead of having it exposed back here, just gives it a cleaner look. And for those of you who are saying, you know what, Tom, if I'm gonna have a GMC Yukon, I want as much power at my disposal as is possible. Well, that's what you're going to have here, the 6.2 liter V8, the largest engine available for these Yukons. It makes 420 horsepower, 460 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and not that anyone's really that concerned about it, but I'll show it to you anyway. How about MPGs? 14 city, 20 highway, 16 combined, and 6.2 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. And if you're curious, the gas tank that is located on the driver's side over here will hold 28 gallons of gas. Towing will range between 73 and 7,800 pounds. And there are a few different ways to gain access to your cargo area back here, one of which being the button right here. I showed you what's on the remote. There's also a button in the interior that's about to be something very important that I'm going to show you. If you come back here and either you push this button here, or you use the button on the remote, or you use the hands-free feature right there. Well, what happens if this doesn't open? Here is the very first thing you should do. This is why I said that button on the interior was going to be important shortly. So, what you're going to do is you're going to come in here. Here is the button. You can turn that a couple of different ways. It can be set to full, it can be set to 3/4, and if your rear lift gate isn't opening, it may be set to off. That's what you want to check first. Just one of those things that is real simple and most likely going to be the problem. 41.5 up to 144.7 cubic feet is going to be the cargo capacity. This model does come with a spare tire, and you talk about spare. It has room to spare. There is space underneath the floor here. If you do need to use your spare tire, there are the tools to change that. And we have plenty of space back here. We have a power outlet, as you can see, and then right here, these buttons will allow you to lower the rear seats. Now, sometimes we have to make some changes, and those changes are to move the middle seats forward just a little bit so we can go ahead and lower these seats all the way down. Now, here's the thing. You'll notice everything corresponds here with your rear seat controls and the middle seats, but you'll notice that you have the up and down arrows on the rear seats, but not on these middle seats. Well, you can still put those down. I don't know if they'll go down all the way. Oh, there they did. I want to make sure I didn't move them too far forward. Here's the thing. You'll have to manually go and put those seat backs in the middle row back up. However, you can use the buttons here to use the power feature to put these seats back in place. And one little thing that I do like to show here is that you need to hold the button down to get it to finish the motion. So notice I took my finger off and it quit moving. I'm gonna do that one more time. It's just one of those things here. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but just something to be aware of. To put the seats back in place, that's what you're going to have to do. And now we'll take a little bit deeper look into the interior. Maybe in depth is a better way to put that. We'll start here with the door panels. Plenty of room. Armrest seems to be nice and comfortable. Just putting my arm up there, you can see some of the materials that we have here that are very nice. They're durable. They don't feel cheap or look cheap, at least not to me. Tell me what you think about that. You do have the upper and the lower door bins here. And one thing that is very nice here is the fact that you have the ability to move these middle seats back and forth, as you can see. So that can increase leg room for rear seat passengers, but even when the seats are all the way back, they still offer, you still have a lot of space back there. We'll take a look at that in just a second. How do you gain access to that area? Well, notice right here, this is what you're going to lift, this lever right here, to move the seats back and forth. And here is how you're going to actually get the seats up and out of the way. So there we go. That makes that super simple. And now that I'm in the rear seat, the third row, you can see that I do have a decent amount of space back here. I don't feel really cramped. I don't know how long I would want to ride like this, but that's what you have. Now, as you can see, and I don't know how practical this is, but here we go. This is how much space you can have maximized. So that's nice. The pass-through is right here if needed to gain access to and from, or just stretch your legs out if you're riding in this area. And something else that I like, you'll notice the switch right here. What happens when I use that switch? Push it once, push it a second time, and that makes it a lot easier to gain access to and from the third row. And you may have noticed the shade that was drawn forward earlier. It was hiding away the panoramic sunroof. Well, there it is in all of its glory, if you want to put it that way. You can use the power feature with that front portion to slide or tilt it open. And we'll hop inside here real quick and see what your middle row seat passengers are going to find. Rear seat storage pockets and the controls here for the air conditioning as far as controlling fan speed. All of that good stuff is going to be here. You can go here with several different options here. You can go to auto, heated seats here in the middle, 3 different settings, and then you'll find USB connectivity, 2 right here, and there's also a power outlet down there. So quite a bit going on here, quite a bit of space, cup holders right here, and something I didn't show when I was in the rear. Everybody else has their own air conditioning vents up there on the roof for rear seat passengers. You also have cup holders back there and a USB option. Obviously, that's going to be mirrored on both sides. And as we continue our ultimate tour of this Yukon Denali, a question that might come up is, well, Tom, what is the ultimate price? $86,030. If you need that extra $30 to buy this Yukon, I will loan it to you, I promise. Here is the sticker for those who may want to see that, and I don't know how well you can see everything on here. There is your sticker. I know a lot of people like to see that, so there you go. And again, a nice large upper and lower door bin. Plenty of space for the armrest right here, and power seats for the driver and the passenger. We'll also find that we have some space here on the side of the center console, and you have the glove box right here. Now, if you're wondering about the comparison between this and, say, the trucks, the Sierras, you don't have the upper glove box up here as you do on those trucks. So we'll hop on inside here. Take a look at what we have. Just take a quick look across the dashboard. Don't worry, we're going to take a good close look at the screen here shortly. You'll find that if you want to, you can hide everything away. It has a nice clean look. Saw that we have our cup holders right there. There is your wireless charging pad, more connectivity options, including a 12-volt power outlet. A lot of space here. The center console, there is one thing that again is different here from the Sierras, and it has to do with the center console lid, mainly this area right here. And you might say, well, what does that matter? Not only can you use that for a little storage, maybe put a phone there, but you can buy an aftermarket cell phone charger and have 2 wireless charging pads. So that can be done in case you were curious about that. And plenty of space within the center console right here. I don't think anybody is going to have trouble finding places to store things. And I showed you the upper console earlier in the video, but here's a little bit more dedicated look to everything that's here, because I know some of you like to know. Well, now you can have your questions answered by just looking around and seeing what is or maybe isn't here, depending on what your desires are. And you really got a good look earlier at the driver's side door for the most part, but you may not have noticed everything here. You do have a couple of options here for seat memory. The controls for the headlights, driving modes, all that good stuff is going to be found right here. You can see what else is here as well, including the adjustments for your head-up display, a power adjustable, tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. We'll hop on inside and take a look at what happens on both screens when we get inside. The animated graphics, I know some people say, I really don't care about that. But you know what? I like to show it anyway because it's here. It's part of what you're paying for. Push button start obviously is going to be here. And you know what? I'm going to take advantage of that power adjustable steering wheel and get that out of the way a little bit so I can do a better job of showing you your instrument cluster right here that, by the way, is adjustable. If you want to make some changes to that, there are adjustments that can be made. And the way that I did that is I pushed the arrow right here. If you have trouble getting there, well, all you have to do is keep pushing that arrow until you get to this area. So what can you change? Well, you have preset layouts right here, as you can see, with progressive, classic, digital, and clean. Or we can go back here and you can adjust each area individually. So that's nice and simple. If you need to get back to the defaults and reset, you can do that as well. And I know some people don't like to have the likeness of their vehicle over there on the right-hand side. Yes, you can get rid of that. Just use the features I just showed you. And over here, you're going to find the controls for your front and rear window wipers. Also, do you see that? Some of you know how to do that and some of you don't. And you might say, Tom, how do you know that? Because I drive around you all the time. That's how I know. Here are your steering wheel mounted controls. Yes, it's good for a little comic relief if you made it to this point in the video. There, your steering wheel mounted controls, obviously push button start. You saw that earlier. And speaking of push button, some people like it, some people don't. Tell me where you land. What do you think about the push button shifter? Because that's what we have right here. I don't know. I guess once you get used to it, maybe it's not a big deal. Would you rather have a column shifter or maybe something down here on the center console, such as what's available with the Sierras. I don't know. Everybody has their opinions. But one way or another, that's what you have. And here is the center screen. Very easy to deal with. You have Google Assistant, so you can say, hey, you know who. I'm not going to do that simply because of the fact that I don't want to set devices off in your house. But that is there. And real quick, let's go through a couple of things here. Obviously, you can wirelessly pair your phone. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And you have multiple camera views. I showed you those cameras that were in the mirrors earlier, or the mirrors that were in the cameras. Which one is it? Yes, I know. It's just funny. I said it earlier. I thought make you laugh again. Got to have to give you a reason to laugh at me. Not that you necessarily need a reason, because some of you do it anyway. But that's okay. It's worth it. So you can see the multiple camera views that we have here. And one thing you'll notice, you see the dots right here? You have the orange dot and then that kind of gray dot, dark gray underneath. That means you have more than one camera view. So that makes things very easy to deal with. I'll tell you what, there's practically no end to what you can see on this vehicle. There is literally something everywhere. So if you're in a tight parking spot, or somebody parked too close to you, or maybe you parked too close to them, well, you can see how to safely get out of that space. And you do have your seats that are heated right here. Here are the two settings for heat and ventilated seats as well. That's going to be on the driver and the passenger side. Good news there. And your dual zone climate control. A pretty simple setup here. And one last thing is going to have to do with the switch right here. What is that? That's going to be your power center console right here. You can slide that out of the way, and there's a couple of reasons why you might want to do that. Not only to gain access to additional storage right there, you also have a drawer right here. That's easy to deal with. Or I guess if nobody wants to reach forward and get their drinks out of these drink holders in the rear of the center console, well, not an issue. And while we're at it, let's do this. We're going to go into settings. You can see what all is here. We're not going to talk about every single area, but let's go into vehicle, because I think you will find some important features here. Buckle to drive. You can turn that off if you want to. I don't encourage people to drive without their seatbelts on, but there are times when that's probably not a bad idea. If you're driving around in a parking lot or whatever you're doing, you might be driving at the dealership and just taking a ride around the parking lot to see how easy it is to drive this Yukon, and you don't need your seatbelt on for that. Well, at least we hope you don't. But collision detection systems, those are also here, and you can see what all is here, and you can obviously turn those on and off. But remember earlier when I told you that you can make changes to your steps. Well, let's see if we can go back here. In fact, I actually was in the right place, so let's go back to where we were. So what's it like to drive this Yukon? This Denali trim level definitely offers some great features that make the ride quality wonderful. When you think of a full-size SUV, sometimes you don't think so much of a smooth ride, but you definitely don't have a problem here where that is concerned because of the adaptive air suspension. So that's good. That helps so much. Now, I only have experience here with the driver's seat, so I don't know what the differences may be from the second to the third row, but maybe somebody can share some information on that. But it's just one of those things. I can only do what I can do, being the only person in the interior here. I don't have anyone to drive for me. But one way or another, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. It seems to get around pretty well. It may not be as maneuverable as some vehicles obviously would be that are smaller, but you still have good capabilities to move around and do what you need to do, and even fit into tight spaces, because, well, with those cameras all over the vehicle, well, that sure makes a big difference where all of that is concerned. And obviously you can get down the road with no problem. Plenty of horsepower to take care of things. In fact, I remember the first time I drove one of these several years ago with the 6.2 liter under the hood. I looked down and I was going a lot faster than I thought I was. That's part of what goes on when you're driving a vehicle where you're higher off the ground. You have a lot of space within the interior. It just doesn't seem like you're going as fast because of those things. And one thing I said earlier in the video, I can't really say this enough, for those who may be stepping into a vehicle like this for the first time, you've never had this kind of technology before, Well, one thing about it is that the technology here is very easy to learn and very easy to use. It might look otherwise when you see it for the first time, but it's definitely not an issue. I find it to be simple. Everybody who makes videos like I do, we all had to learn the technology for the first time, and I didn't find it to be difficult at all. But keep in mind, if you're worried about that, there are videos everywhere on the very place where you are, the very website where you're likely watching this video on YouTube, that will give you information on how to do things such as pairing your smartphone, among other features. And so there's a lot going on here that definitely makes it very easy to deal with learning every aspect of the vehicle. Easy to see out of too. For the most part, yeah, you have a little bit of a blind spot over your right shoulder if you look over that way, but don't forget you have your blind spot monitoring over there. But overall, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. Not hard to get used to driving, that's for sure. And by the way, for those of you who watch me regularly, you might say you didn't demonstrate the front camera washer on this Yukon. That's because there isn't one. You can see right here. Yep, no front camera washer. So in case you were curious about that, there isn't one here, but there sure is a lot. And that's why I gave you the ultimate tour in today's video. So tell me what you think. If you plan to buy a 2024 GMC Yukon, what are the specs? What are you looking for? Definitely a lot of space, a lot of room, a lot of great features and technology, and a very comfortable ride quality. I do want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Morgan Buick GMC for loaning me this Yukon for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. That helps me out a lot. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any future videos. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.